good. We're in morning still, Baldy. We're in morning still.
Yeah. No, I understand. I totally get it. I mean, up 10 points in the fourth quarter. It seems like 49er fans have seen that before. So, I mean, they were, they played a great defensive game, fantastic defensive game. And, they were in it. They had a chance. They had 2 possessions there at the end of the game, and they couldn't really move the ball to actually 3 possessions in the fourth quarter. They couldn't really move the ball enough to, score a point, and that was the difference.
So the Rams basically said, you're not going to run the ball on us anymore. We're going to shut the run down after running the ball on us, and they shut the run down. 20 carries,
yeah, they
50
did,
yards.
But, they did shut the run down. They did 20 times, 50 yards. We know what the are, but, they didn't block well up front. I mean, it wasn't like they played better than the 49ers front. I'm sure Trent Williams, isn't 100% or close to it. Mm-hmm. But I haven't seen Juice or Kittle or any of those guys block like that, against the Rams before. I mean, they've always been much better. Well, you can have one guy can have a bad day. You can't have the whole group, be off. They just couldn't move the line of scrimmage from the very first run of the day with Deebo in the backfield. I mean, they just never got it going.
Yeah, and I really want to get into the sequence, 2nd down and 1, 3rd and 2, 4th and 2. We'll get to that in just a second. Early in this game, it felt like they had opportunities to hit big plays, and they missed them. 3rd down, they get a stop from the defense. They get the ball back. It's 3rd down and long, and it looks like Kittle is streaking over the middle. I'm at the game. My dad goes, he's got him, and they just missed Kittle on that. How many missed plays were there, specifically in that first half, out on that field, that they just didn't connect for whatever reason?
Well, the glaring one is to Kittle. I mean, he got split safeties, and he's going right through the middle there. If it's thrown, perfectly, Kittle might hit his head on the goalpost. So it was a bad missed opportunity. I mean, look, they have 2 safeties in there. One hadn't played football in 2 years, and one, and Nick Scott is playing great football, but I mean, he's basically a rookie back there. He's just gotten a chance to play here in the postseason. I mean, they, whatever reason, there was a breakdown there, and Weddle's a lot better at the line of scrimmage than he is, on the back end of plays, and they just couldn't really take advantage of it.
Jimmy Garoppolo felt like Baldy. Chaska and I were at that game, and we had great seats, and it was an unbelievable environment. SoFi Stadium was just next level. But it felt like Jimmy Garoppolo didn't take advantage of a number of opportunities. Did Kittle play on the 3rd offensive snap for the 49ers? You just touched on it. He was wide open. Ayuk was running open on a couple slants. Jimmy got a ball batted down. Juszczyk seemed to be running down the sideline on that seam route we see, or not even the seam route, just that sideline route where he does the wheel route down the sideline, Baldy. The same one in Tennessee that we saw. It just felt like Garoppolo didn't take advantage of his opportunities, which there weren't a lot of because the Rams controlled the game offensively with 35 minutes of time of possession. What did you see out of Jimmy Garoppolo in this football game, Baldy?
Well, I mean, I think, they played real well around him. I mean, he threw a hospital ball to Deebo in the middle of the field. Nick Scott blew him up. I mean, you don't like those kind of things. You had 50 snaps. You had 8 possessions. I mean, they had to be better. There was literally no play-action game, which always benefits a quarterback. It benefited Stafford. That's because they couldn't run it. They had three plays the whole game where Jimmy Garoppolo was under center, and they went play action on 2 of them, and they completed 2 of the 3 opportunities. But if you're not running it, on 1st down with any success at all, if you're 2nd and 9 or 2nd and 10 or 11 like they were, I mean, 9 of their 20 runs went for a yard or less. So if you're 2nd and 10, after your 1st down, like you're in shotgun, you're not getting any play action. And I thought that really hurt the offense, and it hurt Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean, Baldy, we got to get to the sequence. So they get the ball, they're moving it, right? And they get down, it's like 2nd and 1, they get stuffed. Then it's 3rd and 2, Deebo comes off the field, and they do that Trent Williams play where he's the fullback, he's coming over, I guess he's leaning toward the line, could have been a penalty, it wasn't. They do like an inside draw, dive thing to the fullback, that gets blown up by Eric Weddle. It's a very tough ask for Trent Sherfield. And then McVay throws the challenge flag. You have time to think about it after running the punt unit out, and they don't go for it, and then obviously punt it back. Tartt misses the interception. Walk me through the offensive set of plays there, the 2nd and 1, the 3rd and 2, and then not going for it on 4th and 2, because that to me was the most crucial part of the game momentum-wise.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, Mitchell had his best run of the day. Kittle had a great block. He got a split. He's one-on-one with Nick Scott, in the middle of the field there for 9 yards. Best run of the day. You come back to Mitchell up the middle, and there's Weddle. They couldn't get him out of there. He was unaccounted for. I mean, I think Sherfield's supposed to block him. It's impossible for the receiver to get him. He knows it. Weddle just, created an angle where you couldn't block him. And so he takes Mitchell down. So now you're 3rd and 2, and so here comes Trent. All right, and really, I mean, everybody missed the block. I mean, Brunskill missed his block, and Kittle missed his block. Robinson and Gaines were right there. I mean, you can't say it was a bad play. I mean, Juice has been good in short yardage situations. They just didn't block well up front. All right, so now you're 4th and 2. You're up 17-14. Can you pin them at the 15-yard line? You just don't think that they're gonna. They really haven't done much offensively. They did have a 97-yard drive, but for the most part, you put your defense out there on the field and play field position. Like I didn't have a problem with it, because if you don't make 4th and 2, and I know you want to be aggressive and all that, but if you don't make it, you're giving the Rams great field position. And all you need is just one first down and you're in field goal range.
Brian Baldinger here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game, breaking down the NFC title game where the Niners lost to the Rams 20-17. Matthew Stafford and company. Looks like they did take advantage of opportunities, Baldy. 11 of 18 on 3rd down, and they made sure to get the ball to the playmakers. Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham Jr. destroyed them. And Baldy, defensively, look, the Niners bent, didn't break. But it was a lot of free releases for Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham Jr., and it looked like the pass rush didn't quite get there to Matthew Stafford in this football game.
Well, on 3rd down, they have a package, and, Cincinnati has to get ready for it. But they're a cluster formation team. They put 3 receivers to one side. Sometimes they spread them out. Sometimes it's a bunch. There's a variety of it. But they're either 3-by-1, and Odell Beckham is the receiver opposite. And if he gets his one-on-one, then they go to him. But usually they put Cooper Kupp in the cluster. So on the touchdown, to Kupp, the 11-yard touchdown right there. It's 3rd and 1, whatever it was. I mean, they got K1 Williams on it. I don't know what the coverage is. In fact, I don't think the Rams knew what the coverage was. All I know is that you left K1 Williams one-on-one on basically a clear-out with Cooper Kupp. And I know they were trying to mix it up because they kind of zoned the other 2 receivers. But they left Kupp one-on-one with K1. As soon as Stafford saw it, I mean, he saw it fast. Like, give him credit, because he didn't know what the hell they were doing, because it wasn't your basic man formation against it. It looked like they were going to go 2-by-2 and zone it, and then they manned it. So it was like a change up. I can't fault anything D'Amico Ryans has done. I think he's been awesome. But as soon as they saw it, there it was, touchdown. And then on the other touchdown, 3rd and 13.
Yep.
Ambry is a young player, and that. You've just got to squeeze that. Like, you've got an underneath curl flat defender for the underneath. Like, you really got to take the deep shot away. Now, it was a perfect throw. He adjusted his angle to take it to the back pylon. And so it might have been tough for Ambry, but he's really just needs to get more depth there. You can rally to the ball in front of you. That's what you're supposed to do. The coverage is good. The safety is there. I mean, it's just a perfect throw.
Baldy, final 3 possessions. They're down 3, and then they're eventually tied, and they're chasing. Or excuse me, they're up 3, tied, and they're chasing. I mean, what happened? What happened offensively on the final couple of drives? How can they not get the ball to Kittle and Deebo Samuel? What did you see on the film in terms of just their execution, the play calling, and the actual players that were touching the ball there down the stretch?
Well, the last time Deebo touched the ball was with 12 and a half minutes to go in a game. He ran a stop route in front of Jalen Ramsey for 12 yards, kind of bowled over a bunch of guys, got the first down on 2nd and 10, and that's the last time he touched it. I think there was 11 more snaps, maybe, Joe. I'm not exactly sure. 11 or 12 more snaps.
Yes.
And he was on the field for 8 or 9 of them. He wasn't on the field every one. Now, I don't know if that Nick Scott hit that he took in the middle of the field, was still affecting him in any kind of way. But, you just figure at some point you're going to get the ball to him. You just have to. Yeah? And so, obviously after the Rams tied it up 17-17, they had that horrible series where you get the penalty, the delay of game. The delay of game was just ridiculous, right?
Right.
Why don't they burn a timeout there, Baldy? Like that's regroup right there and not lose the yardage. Like
they did early in the game. Remember?
Oh, so you agree with me?
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I agree. I wouldn't take that penalty. No way. Not in that situation. Not as tough as it's been to run against them. But if it is 1st and 10 instead of 2nd and 15, or 2nd and 10 instead of 2nd and 15, you might still be able to sneak in a run at that point. Just try to keep them a little bit off balance. Maybe hit them with something that you haven't really shown much of. But that extra 5 yards is a big deal. I hate to play Monday morning quarterback, but I don't like to give teams 5 yards. I'd rather take the timeout. The time really isn't an enemy there. It's 6.5 minutes to go in the game. It's not really an enemy. At that point, it's a tie game. Mm-hmm. Maybe you need the timeout, maybe. But really what you need is control of the ball.
Yes.
Yep.
Execution.
No doubt. And they were in a lot of 3rd and longs, a lot of 2nd and longs, and they couldn't get on track here as we're talking to Brian Baldinger here on the Morning Rush on 95.7 The Game. Kyle Shanahan.
Well, I would say this, Bonta. I would say, you saw. I hate to interrupt, but you saw Aaron Donald.
Yep.
You saw Aaron Donald, just rally the troops on the sideline during the game, and whether that did anything or not, they dialed up pressure a lot more. I mean, Vaughn started coming, twist stunts. AD started getting there because I thought he was pretty invisible.
Yep.
I thought really Aaron Donald and Von Miller were pretty invincible in that whole first half. But by the time they got to the fourth quarter, they were making their presence felt. They looked like, two of the best to play the game towards the end, and especially in that fourth quarter. I mean, that pocket was collapsing fast.
No, it was. And where my seats was, the Niners were in that position. And Jimmy Garoppolo's running around the pocket with his head cut off, and nothing was going on. He's trying to spin away from Aaron Donald. They did dial up the pressure there. Kyle Shanahan. There's a narrative now with Kyle Shanahan and the championship moments, and he's been, outscored 53-0. If you take the Super Bowl fourth quarter when the Falcons lost and blew a 28-3 lead, Super Bowl 54 against Kansas City, and then what we saw last Sunday when the Rams outscored the Niners 13-0. Was Shanahan too conservative in the fourth quarter, or do we just tip our hat to the Rams and saying, you know what, they were just better at the line of scrimmage and they dictated tempo there in that fourth quarter?
Well, I mean, you just got to look at, the possessions that they had, all right? So you get stopped on 3rd and 2, all right? I mean, you could say that's a conservative call, and it is, but I think what happens on that play, if Juice gains a yard, they probably do go for it on 4th down, because then you can quarterback sneak it. You have a lot more options. 4th and 1 is different than 4th and 2 in the middle of the field. It just is. But if you don't gain anything, then it's tough. All right. I mean, you try and draw them all sides on 4th down, and you end up punting it. And then you have 3 straight incompletions. You could say, okay, delay a game. Can you use the timeout there? All right. So then you get that situation, and then the last possession with the 1:46 to go. Look, all they got to get is 35 yards. That's all they need. It's 35 yards, and you're in field goal range. And the guy hasn't missed in a postseason. So, I can't say you're conservative. All I know is I'd rather throw the ball to Deebo than to James Hasty. You could fault, I'd rather throw it to Deebo than to Juwan Jennings.
Okay, on that play. I want to really quickly isolate that play. So, 1st down, ball gets batted down, right? 2nd down on the final drive. To me, this was the most egregious. I just don't understand the quarterback awareness in the game. It's set third down up for disaster. They had one timeout left. I almost wanted them to burn a timeout just to huddle to it's third and long. Get your best play. He throws in the flat to Jennings. To me, that ball's got to be skipped into the ground or thrown into the stands because it's a net loss. Like there's no winning on that play. If you're not going to drive it downfield, third and 12, third and 13, to me, and I don't know if he panicked or what, that was the worst than the interception because it set everything up for chaos, and I wanted the coach to call timeout and huddle the team up. What were your thoughts on second and third down there?
Well, I'm with you because you see it almost every Sunday. If you're just throwing a safety valve on the outside, you're going to take negative yardage and burn clock. Like there's no point to it. You're much better off bouncing the ball into the turf and going to the third down. And going 3rd and 10. I mean, you can't lose yardage and go backwards. It just makes it too much harder. Yeah. So I'm with you on that, Joe. I mean, you can say, okay, whatever the play is, like you just don't want to. You just got to know that you can't take a negative play. Like you do see Brady, Rodgers, Breeze. I mean, these guys are in a different level, but you do see those guys all the time. Bounce the ball on the turf, just go to the next down.
Yep.
It's not worth it. It's just not worth the negative yards, the loss of clock, all that stuff.
So, Baldy, you've been a big advocate from training camp to week 1 to week 8 to week 9 to week 18. You're a little surprised when you see any Trey Lance packages. I mean, it's probably tough to ask after we didn't see it in the first 2 playoff games for the Niners, but did the Niners underutilize Trey Lance this season?
I thought so. I'm not saying that Jimmy shouldn't have been the quarterback. I believe he should have been the quarterback. But I've seen Donovan McNabb, didn't start his first 6 games in Philadelphia, and they had a package for him from the very first week of the season. Now, eventually he worked in, became the starter. But I just think the way that they like to run the ball, the variety of ways that they run the ball, the diversification of the run game, just that alone, having to defend Trey Lance in addition to Deebo and, Elijah and everybody else, that there was ways to incorporate him. And I'm not saying just run it either. He's got a big, strong arm, play action. I just thought that there could have been and should have been packages for Trey that would have made this offense more difficult to defend than it was.
It's hard for me to swallow right there, Baldy. I'm not going to lie to you,
Baldy's the truth teller.
You don't agree with me?
No, I totally agree with you. What are you talking, Baldy? I wanted the kid to start day 1. I wanted to see him, spread his wings and stretch things out. They had 10 in the box the whole game. Okay. I'm saying you got to stretch the ball down the field or hit the sidelines, and they just couldn't do it. And you got to be able to deliver the ball from a muddied pocket. There's just so much. Oh my gosh. Anyway, Baldy.
But from a John Lynch standpoint, okay. Jordan Peters, whoever was sort of orchestrating the trades, to get to number 3. Like when you do that deal, as soon as you turn that card in for Trey Lance, the clock is ticking in 5 years. It's ticking. You've got 5 years to build around a rookie on a rookie contract. And we all know all the names from Joe Flacco on, Russell Wilson, all the guys that have won Super Bowls on the rookie deal. It's a financial investment that you can afford Trent Williams, and you can sign Nick Bosa, and you can do all these things that you have to do when a quarterback's on a rookie contract. So the quicker you can get that started and get that process started, and that may be just rookie year, you know what? We got a package for you, Trey. We're going to get you used to the speed of the game. We're going to get your eyes ready. We're going to let you throw it. We're going to put you in big moments. Like, get them ready. Like, it doesn't mean it's not a deflection or detraction from Jimmy and all the things that he can provide. It's just a business decision going forward.
Yeah. And Baldy, just from like a personnel standpoint, if you want to utilize Brandon Ayuk and Deebo down the field, you got to be able to throw it down the field. And I struggle with the offense at times. So I'm like, Ayuk's got to get more looks. I mean, Kupp and Odell Beckham were given opportunity after opportunity on the outside to make plays. And they made tough catches left and right. And I look at our guys, I'm like, I just don't think we had enough opportunities to make plays downfield.
Well, I mean, you got to hang on to the ball. I mean, they kept converting third downs, to those wide receivers.
Yeah.
Now Cooper is, if you look at the Super Bowl, to your point, Joe, look at these receiving cores. and look who touches the ball. I mean, it's almost like for example, like Joe Mixon is a big time back, right?
Yep.
And people get upset when they hand the ball off to him. They're like, you got Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins and Jamar. What the hell are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, but really, it almost feels like that's where it's at. Like, when you get these studs on the outside, you know how difficult it is to defend. You know, like, okay, they're swallowing the whistle in the postseason, but you know you're going to get calls, you know, jump balls, all that stuff. Like, look at these receiving cores.
I know.
And what they're doing.
I know.
The ball's going to, like, Odell and Kupp, they're going to get 20 targets minimum every game.
Unbelievable. And the Niners, George Kittle only finishes with 2 catches, 27 yards. Ayuk, who looked amazing, especially since November 1st, ends up with 4 catches. These guys have to see at least 10 targets. I'm with you. It's like the Randy ratio back in the day with Mike Tice. Randy, remember Baldy? Mike Tice is like, Randy's touching the ball every 4 plays. We don't care.
Yeah.
He's going to get an opportunity every 4 plays. And you just see all that talent on the field, and they're not getting opportunities here. It's a tough one. Baldy, we're going to talk next week. We'll preview the Super Bowl and see what happens with the 49ers over the next week. Baldy, good stuff as always, man. We appreciate it.
All right, Bonta. Take care, Joe. See you guys.
All right, Baldy. Baldy, he's the best here on 95.7 The Game.